several weeks, we've been talking about our values. We chose 11 collective values to represent what we would like to see this community nurture and live by in the next year, during this next year, and going forward. And today's value is open communication. It's a fun one, I think. It's a way of following up on what we talked about last week, which is honoring all voices. And how do we do that? By practicing the art of open communication. The leaders of our organization take this very seriously. None of us is perfect at it, but we work at it. We have open core council meetings every third Sunday, and anyone is allowed to come and observe. I keep office hours from noon to 6 Monday through Wednesday, so anyone is welcome to come to the office and chat. We are working on getting postings of our minutes and our financials every month in the bookstore. So, you know, we're always trying to open up avenues of getting your input and also getting the information out to you that you need. We practice transparency to the very best of our abilities, and it's an ongoing thing. So that's our commitment to you as far as open communication. You know, it's been brilliant hearing you talk about what these values mean to you. So I'm going to open it up again today and ask you, what does open communication mean to you? What does it mean to practice open communication? And finally, what would you like to see more of that would illustrate open communication here at our center? So as you just think about that for a moment, just pop your hand up and I'll be right there with my microphone. What do you think? Monica.
My favorite one is actually listening instead of waiting for your turn to talk.
Oh, that's good. Listening instead of waiting for your turn to talk. Who else? We have Linda.
I think of open communication as speaking your truth quietly, clearly, and with love, and with no hidden agendas.
Ooh, that's good. No hidden agendas. That's good. Thank you, Linda. Who we got over here? Is that Jenny? Oh, we got Steve. We need a little theme music while I walk from one side to the other.
Really? Okay. To me, open positive communication it's authentic. It's speaking from the heart. It's, again, like Linda said, speaking from love, but it's more the way you can connect with another person, just being real, being authentic, knowing the other person's listening, knowing that you listen to the person, and it's connection.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Do I see another hand? Oh, hi. I don't know your name. Kathy.
Wenda.
Wenda. Sorry. I just make things up if I don't really know. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's listening for people's feelings and thinking about what they actually need instead of thinking what you think they should do and what you did to solve their problem. Just putting yourself really in the perspective of the other person and also being honest about what you really want instead of thinking you're being polite. Yeah. I'm from the East Coast. This drives me crazy. Just tell me you don't want to go. Don't lie.
Thank you, Wenda. I like that. I like that. Anybody else have something you'd like to offer to the conversation? It's a good one, I think. I think about the way we're trained in our American culture is really not that, is it? It's we're taught two kinds of aggression. One of them is active aggression and the other one is passive aggression. Of course, active aggression is when you use threats or violence to get your way. And passive aggression is kind of sugar-coated hostility. And it's a way of exerting personal power without being overt about it. It's, to me, more baffling and harder to deal with passive aggression than it is overt aggression, active aggression, because it's subtle. Now, you think about what that means. Well, think about the phrase. Think about the phrase. I've got it in here somewhere. Oh, okay. Have you ever heard a comment that is kind of hidden nastiness followed with "just saying"? Or, "Can't you take a joke?" I'm just kidding. Those kinds of things are really, that's passive aggression, because underneath is that little bit of hostility that really wants to hurt in some way. And yet we sugarcoat it so that we can then step back and say, "What? You got no sense of humor?" Or whatever the response is, or "fine, whatever," is another really good one. And you hear it constantly in our culture, don't you? This is the way that we speak, that we communicate to one another when we're feeling powerless. And I tell you, it was the language of my family growing up with a dominant parent, because the kids felt no power. So, however, the kind of power you can exert, as dysfunctional as it is this hidden kind of gotcha energy. Are you relating to this? Okay. Now, it's taken me a lifetime to get past that to more authentic communication, and I'm not perfect at it. I still find myself catching myself falling into that old pattern. But at least I'm catching it. Do you find yourself in that situation too? So let's define open communication as a two-part process. The first part is listening, as many of you so nicely pointed out, listening with the intention of understanding what the other person is saying. And the second thing is to express freely one's thoughts, feelings, and opinions from a place of knowing that we are all interconnected. And you spoke of it, the love, the connection that without it, it becomes this kind of hostile action towards one another. Whoever can take a position and a strongest stance. And that's not communication. That's war. It's also politics right now. So when we listen in order to gather the data we need so that we can understand, oftentimes we're gathering evidence, not data. So when we're gathering the data so that we can have a deeper understanding, so that we can find out what stands under that person's position. Then we check in our own gut. We say, what's my gut reaction to this? Okay, what is standing under my stance or position? And then we begin to converse. Then we begin to acknowledge that, boy, there are other opinions than mine. And what I hold to be sacred truths are truly just precious opinions. When I get that, then I can relax and open up and have a dialogue about something. So what does it take to communicate openly? I think it takes a lot of courage. Especially when we're dealing with past training that has taught us to be otherwise. The courage not to take things personally, no matter what the response that comes from other people. Remember, those of you who have taken the membership training or membership orientation, there's a little card I give you, and on one side it says, "Tell me more." And on the side facing me it says, "It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about me gathering the data I need to understand where this person's coming from. Does that make sense? I think it takes a lot of courage to speak one's personal truth. I mean, we're really not conditioned for that, are we? We're conditioned to say, I didn't realize you wanted it done now. Or, I'm not angry. Or, when I'm asked, what's the matter? I say, nothing. Passive aggression. Rather than speaking out what we think or feel or what our opinions are, we respond in that way that really, in a way, holds the other person hostage because there's no breaking through it. With a thoroughly aggressive person who's threatening bodily harm, you call the police. You can do something about it. But there are no passive aggression police. So what do? You withdraw. You just walk away. And then more damage is done to the relationship. I mean, sometimes we find it very funny. A lot of our entertainment is based on passive-aggressive communication. There's a hilarious show on PBS called Vicious. And the humor comes from the terrible way they talk to each other. But we find it funny. I find it funny. Things like, I love how you decorated your house. It's incredible what you can do on such a small salary. Yeah. I love how that dress looks on you. It really hides your extra weight. I mean, yeah, it's funny, but think of the person receiving that. Wow. That's a wounding. That's wounding. Ouch. So let's talk about what some of the characteristics of passive-aggressive behavior are. Blaming others for one's own shortcomings, low self-esteem, high need for praise, very little discipline, not a team player, always finds something wrong with the ideas of others, never satisfied, complains about everything, constantly makes backhanded comments, forgets to do things that one is supposed to do, and a poor sense of responsibility. I mean, that's a broad spectrum of behaviors. In a way, the passive-aggressive person manages to make you feel guilty for what is their problem. So, are you recognizing this in your experience and in people that you run into and some people that you can't find ways to get past the frustration of trying to deal with them? Well, the way that the God of Google tells us to do is to not engage. Just to simply not engage. Just click into it and say, I recognize this behavior. It's coming from powerlessness. So what can I do I can take a position of love and non-engagement. That's the best way to deal with this when it comes at you. So the following takes place in a corporate office, in the break room, through a series of notes taped to the refrigerator. The first note: to the person who keeps stealing my sandwiches, turkey and Swiss with mayo on rye, this is ridiculous. We are all full-grown adults, not children. Please take responsibility for your actions and stop stealing other people's property. Dear turkey and Swiss on rye, I have your precious sandwich. It's safe for now. Put $10 on the plate in the fridge or you'll never see your undigested sandwich again. Dear sandwich thief, please grow up and just return my sandwich. This is very unprofessional. If I ever find out who's doing this, I won't hesitate to call HR. Dear turkey and Swiss, for every hour you continue to refuse my demands, I'll remove another bite of this sandwich. Please take this seriously. We are professionals after all. Signed, Sandwich Thief. Sandwich Thief, why are you doing this? Response: Tick-tock, Swiss. Tick-tock. Dear Sandwich Thief, hi, this is Tina from HR. Please return the sandwich and we won't investigate the matter any further. The owner of the sandwich writes, buy me a pizza. Sandwich Thief, no. By the way, I'm not even going to eat it, just gonna chew it up and spit it out. How does that make you feel? Sandwich owner, you're the worst. Response, oh, my dear T-Swizzle, I'm so very far from being the worst. Mankind's flaws can't be judged on such a simple spectrum as that. Open your eyes. You lash out at such pettiness, but ignore the hideous nature of the world at large. There is hunger, my dear turkey and Swiss on rye. A hunger that is spreading from the deepest, darkest pits of this hellish corporate chasm. This sandwich is the birth cry of a new era. And when the revolution finally comes, pitiful vagrants like yourself will be the first to be devoured. There's a picture of an empty plate with a few crumbs on it. The deed is done. Weep for the world you once knew. For it is but crumbs upon the sill of despair, soon to be swept away by the righteous gusts of change. Hi, Tina from HR again. Francis, we checked the office's printer queue and traced the request back to your desk. Could you please come to see me at your earliest convenience? I'm sorry, please don't fire me. Isn't that good? That is supreme passive-aggressive behavior. It shows how funny it is, too. So if we have to give up passive-aggressive behavior and actively aggressive behavior isn't acceptable either, how are we supposed to act with each other? Well, there's a word called assertiveness. Assertiveness is the ability to appropriately express what you feel and need without harming others and without being aggressive or violent. It means giving up sarcasm. Darn it. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote in a 2012 Dharma talk called Healing Ourselves, Healing Our Faith. If we cannot communicate, we suffer. Very often we cannot communicate with our own self. You don't like yourself, you hate yourself, you don't know how to listen to yourself, you don't know how to help yourself. So the practice of loving speech and deep listening should also be directed toward ourselves. We have to learn how to listen to the deepest desires in ourselves, to listen to the suffering in ourselves in order to understand. When we have understood our suffering and our deepest aspiration, we will be able to listen and to understand the aspiration and the suffering of the other person. This is something we can do. We have to learn how to listen, how to speak lovingly. So open communication begins by changing the way we speak to ourselves and the way we listen to ourselves, to be willing to change the self-talk that is so harmful. Does anyone else have this problem, self-talk? Yeah, it's a big one. When we stop to listen to ourselves, we often speak to ourselves in a way we would never speak to anybody else. And learning to listen to that deep, deep sense of who we really are. That spirit, that divine presence inside each of us that is there to help us heal, that's there to spread the warm light of our divine nature all throughout our body and shine it out our eyes so that other people can see it and recognize it and light up too. That's what this communication, this open communication is all about. Because when you start dealing with someone, knee to knee and heart to heart, do you feel the world shift? Yeah, it does. It brings a sense of love that wasn't there before, that can never be achieved in the other way of doing it. Taking responsibility for our own feelings and letting the responsibility for the other person's feelings stay on that side. and sitting here with an open heart, listening, feeling, and responding, because we are, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, intra-are. We intra-are. He talks about the connection that we have with each person. We inter-are. That's what it is, inter-are. I don't exist without you. You don't exist without me. We are one. We are part of one. So how do we cultivate the courage it takes to do this work? How do we muster the courage not to take things personally that other people say or do? The courage to speak one's personal truth. The courage to show up authentically. The courage to maintain an open heart. The courage to approach conversation without a thought to keeping or getting power over another person. For whom the bell tolls. We'll wait till it finishes its little... okay. We practice. That's how we do it. We practice. We practice with each other because we're all here together in community. And that's what community does, is practice open, loving communication. Practice positive self-talk, positive self-reinforcement. We practice being spirit, alive and well on earth right now. And we support one another in this. It takes a lot of courage, but you know what? We're courageous people. So what I would like to know is, if you are ready to make a commitment to practicing with each other here, to creating a safe place for this kind of talking, conversing, sharing of opinions, because there are many opinions in this room. I, for one, commit to you to do my very best to be that kind of a person for you as your spiritual leader. Are you willing to do that with me over the next year?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's say that out loud. I'm willing. I'm willing. It's lovely speaking with you. So let's now take that into prayer, where we amplify that intention, where we amplify that commitment by calling on all of the power of spirit within. It's the same spirit that is without. It is outside of me and it's inside of me, this divine nature, this divine presence that is good itself, goodness itself, whose aspects are love and light and life, abundance and harmony and order. All of those things that spell out the good life as we live it. The good life is the God life. So I hereby commit myself to being a bigger center for that divine nature that courses through me. I hereby commit myself, and let my words be your words. I commit myself to better self-talk, healthier self-awareness, to inner support for my own self, and compassion for all that I have ever been through. I hereby commit myself to dedication to listening deeply with the intention of understanding where another person comes from, for understanding why they hold the opinions that they do. I commit myself to recognizing my own opinions that I hold precious, and allowing for other people to hold their opinions precious as well. I seek the truth in all things. I seek love in all things. I seek goodness in every interaction that I have. For I know that as I do this work, the world changes. It can't be any other way. For I know that the world is a reflection of who I am being. So I commit to being spirit on earth. Love in action, listening in practice. And I'm so grateful for this truth. I'm grateful for this commitment that is resonating in my heart right now. That which my soul says yes to. I'm so grateful.